3 weeks ago, I was standing on the same dirt path I'd walked for years, fishing pole in one hand, cooler on my shoulder, when I saw it. A brand new iron gate welded straight across the trail that led to the lake behind my house. A sign hung dead center. Private access. Residents with community permit only. I just stood there, staring. Permit? I'd lived here 5 years. My boy learned to skip stones on that lake. It wasn't just a body of water to us. It was part of home. Before I could even process it, I heard that voice, sharp and nasal, like a crow that smoked too much. That's community property now, she said. Only members with a valid permit can use the lake. It was her, Dana Miller, president of the Ridgewood Estates HOA. The kind of woman who wore pastel sweaters like armor and spoke in bullet points. Always had that clipboard glued to her side like it was a badge. Dana, my fence is 15 feet from this gate, I told her, pointing. She smiled that condescending smile people say for toddlers and tax evaders. Well, Ryan, the board voted to restrict lake access. Too much unmonitored activity. You'll need to pay the $200 annual permit fee. I laughed. You're charging me to use the lake behind my own house. It's not your lake, she said, flipping her clipboard. It's HOA property now. And just like that, she walked off, little pursed dog yapping at her heels like a backup singer. That night, I drove straight to old Mr. Halpern's place, the original landowner. He was pushing 90, half deaf, still sharp as a tack. When I asked if he'd sold the lake, he nearly choked on his tea. Sold it? Hell no, he said. I just let them maintain it. They pay me a couple $100 a year to keep the grass trimmed. Fine by me. So I asked him, plain and simple, would you be willing to sell it? He looked at me for a long moment. You love that place that much? My son learned to swim there, I told him. I'm not letting some clipboard queen lock it behind a gate. He chuckled, shook his head, and said, all right, son, let's make it yours. 2 days later, I owned the lake. The water, the trees, the shoreline, every inch of it. And the best part? Every bit of it was legally under my name. By Monday, I had my own sign up behind the gate, private property. No trespassing. I didn't touch their sign, didn't touch their gate. Just added mine, bigger, cleaner, and backed by the county registrar's stamp. Then I filed a cease and desist against the HOA for unauthorized use of private land. 2 days later, there was a knock at my door. A man stood there in a blazer 2 sizes too small, clutching a manila folder like it might explode. Ryan, I'm Paul, HOA treasurer. Can we talk? I let him in, but didn't offer him a seat. He slid a paper across the table. There's been a misunderstanding. The board believed the lake was under a cooperative lease. We didn't realize. Cut the act, I said. You knew exactly what you were doing. You thought Halpern wouldn't care, and no one would check. Paul swallowed. We're prepared to offer a partnership. We maintain the area. You allow community access. We'll pay a small maintenance fee. No. He blinked. Excuse me. You heard me. The community doesn't get free access to my land. Not after your president tried to charge me for it. He shifted, clearly sweating. Then what do you want? I opened my own folder and slid it back to him. Simple. You want to use my lake? You pay for it. $2,000 a month for water rights. I've already confirmed your sprinkler systems pull from my lake's groundwater basin. You either pay or shut them down. He looked pale. That's not how it works. It is now, I said. By the weekend, the HOA's sprinklers were off. The entrance flowers wilted, the fountain stopped, and the path lights went dark. Word spread fast. The grumpy lake guy had turned the tables. Then one morning, my neighbor Angie called me whispering. You won't believe what I heard at the emergency board meeting. According to her, Dana had been screaming, accusing everyone of sabotage. But here's the kicker. Someone leaked an internal memo. Turns out Dana had been funneling HOA money, over 30 grand, into a shell company under her husband's law firm. The goal? Buy the lake under a fake lease, then resell it back to the HOA later for profit. That memo landed in my inbox 2 hours later from a former board member who'd had enough. I sent it straight to my lawyer, and then to the county fraud department. Within days, subpoenas hit. The HOA's accounts were frozen. Dana was arrested for misappropriation of funds and wire fraud. Her husband lost his law license. The rest of the board resigned like rats off a sinking ship. When the dust settled, the residents voted unanimously to dissolve the HOA. The gates came down, the signs disappeared, and for the first time in years, Kids were skipping stones on that lake again. But that wasn't the end. A few weeks later, a detective showed up at my door, Environmental Crimes Division. They'd uncovered illegal chemical dumping tied to Dana's contracts. Turns out the HOA's landscaping service had buried herbicide waste right near the lake's waterline. It had been seeping into the water for years. I watched in silence as hazmat crews set up near the shore, drilling samples. The truth hit me hard. My kid had swum in that water last summer. The state eventually pressed more charges, extended Dana's sentence by 4 years, and covered the cleanup under a public restoration grant. When the lake reopened, it was cleaner than I'd ever seen it. Fish came back, ducks returned, and for once, the place felt alive again. A month later, the county asked me to speak at a nearby town hall, a neighborhood thinking about forming an HOA. I didn't prepare a speech. I just told the truth. I told them how a fake permit became a gate, how a lease became a lie, how a $200 fee nearly poisoned a lake and a community. And when someone asked what I'd do differently if I could go back, I said, I'd read every paper, question every vote, and never let anyone with a clipboard tell me what my home is worth. When I got home that night, there was a small wooden box on my porch. No note, just a hand-carved plaque inside that said, "Guardianship is earned." I mounted it to the dock the next morning. Now, every weekend, families come to fish again. Kids laugh, birds nest, and the only sign left by the water reads, "Access by permission of the owner. Respect it or lose it." Sometimes, when the sun sets just right, I sit there and think about how close we came to losing all of this, to greed, to silence, to people who think power gives them ownership over others. Justice didn't come easy, but when it did, it landed like a hammer on steel. So what do you think? Was I right to fight back, or did I go too far? Let me know in the comments. I really want to hear what you would have done if someone tried to gate off your home.